This is the border of what's known as the Kurdish Autonomous Zone that separates northern Iraq from the rest of the country. Those entering the zone are examined as if they were passing an international border. Security is stringent, and anyone slightly suspicious is refused entry.
Yeah, that's problem. كبي داخل بو إما لينا غير أنت داخلي هرمي كردستان ببي لبو أوي أشكال بو هرمي كردستان بيدا نبي ياخد أو نوع سيارات زي جاي جمانن بو تقينوا بو كاري تخريب أجر بيتو أماس بياني تنتيجي لنا ودابنين بتقينوا كاسناتوا نازاني أو سيارة إيشيا أوليات وأمر رجال لو سيارة ندقرين لنا غيرين داخل بهرمي كردستان ببن.
Arabs from the south are treated as dangerous foreigners in their own country. After all, this is still Iraq.
مترسي عربكان زياترة لما ترسي كردكان ياخد آشوريكان ياخد تركمانكان مترسي لسر عربكان زور زياترة.
It's a tough approach, but it seems to be working. The capital of Iraqi Kurdistan, Irbil, is by far the safest city in the country.
Since 2003, there have been zero casualties of U.S. soldiers. There have been some terrorist attacks, most recently in May of 2007 here in Irbil. Those have not been targeting international groups.
Jon Cebra is the spokesperson for the US reconstruction team in the Kurdish north. He says life here is a different world compared to Baghdad.
This is also a region in which the liberation was extremely popular, that the local political parties and the local population were very happy with the overthrow of Saddam Hussein and the opportunity to reintegrate into the rest of Iraq.
But after suffering for years under Saddam Hussein's brutal rule, the Kurds aren't interested in reintegration. On the streets of Irbil, the message is clear. They want independence. The Kurds now have their own regional government, their own army, and they collect their own taxes. But more significantly, they're signing their own oil deals, and it's a very sensitive issue.
We have drilled 6 wells in total since the beginning of 2006.
Kamal Afarachi works for Topco, a joint Canadian-Turkish-owned company. It was given the contract by the Kurdish regional government to run Tak, Kurdistan's largest oil field.
When you compare with South Iraq, I mean Baghdad, Mosul, Kirkuk, it's really like a paradise to work here.
Security might not be an issue, but oil production here in northern Iraq requires negotiating a diplomatic minefield.
But is it with the Kurdistan government or the Iraqi government?
It's an awkward question for Kamal because technically the land being drilled here is still inside Iraq, and Baghdad is outraged, labelling the Kurdish oil deals as illegal and unconstitutional.
On January the 17th this year, the Iraqi oil ministry in Baghdad issued a new order, saying that it would end cooperation and effectively blacklist any foreign oil company that had signed deals with the Kurdish government here in North Iraq.
Kurdish regional government leader Massoud Barzani insists his government oil deals are not illegal and is refusing to halt production.
طبعا ما پیمان خوشه مشترک به تعاون و تنسیق بی لگال بغداد بلام اگر بو به موقفی که سیاسی بو اوی دستی کرد ببسنه طبعا مش گوینا دینی.
I'm now heading out of the Kurdish zone, south to the city of Kirkuk. It's home to some of the largest oil fields in the country. Past the Kurdish line of control, it's much more dangerous this side of the border. My driver is used to the daily threats on this road, but for my protection, he's organised a car of plainclothes Peshmerga, Kurdish soldiers, to trail us on our journey.
terrorist أوانا إستا بملايين أكرد إذا أوانا لقل ما نبي دفاع عن لبر أوي كلقل معنا أوانا جياني بباريس رد.
Both the Iraqi government and the Kurds claim these rich oil fields that lie just outside Kirkuk. Since 2003, the city has been plagued by car bombings and attacks as Iraqi Arabs and Kurds battle for control.
So Azadeen, this is Kirkuk?
بله ما كركوك أمام هيني ترنجالتي رحمة كردا أمي.
Today, it's a dangerous run-down place, but for the Kurds, it's an important symbol of their oppression and the struggle for recognition. To stake claim over the oil fields, Saddam Hussein deliberately altered Kirkuk's demographics by forcibly expelling thousands of Kurdish families and moving Arabs in.
أوانا عواربون لو وقت خوي لكركوك در كران ورايان كردو سامي هاتو توزي ورياني هاتنا تي إرادانشتونا بقان.
With Saddam now gone, thousands of Kurds want to return, but many of their former homes have been given to Arabs. Over 500 Kurdish families are now squatting in the grounds of Kirkuk's main stadium. I want to take a look, but it's only possible with the well-armed Peshmerga guarding our every step. Open sewerage runs through the makeshift houses. There is no running water, and electricity is only available a few hours a day. The family of this 6-year-old boy, Omar, returned to Kirkuk after being expelled by Saddam in 1988. They've been living at the stadium since 2003. Omar's sister is severely handicapped, but there's no healthcare available.
لا أنا خوشة.
ده تيو بتسيت شيء يا عمر.
ها؟
ده تيو بتسيت شيء.
شو كان؟
شين ده؟
شو كان؟
The Kurdish regional government is desperate to win control of Kirkuk and is doing anything it can to increase the Kurdish population.
با هنيشي أواني خانويان كردوا هيشي دفتري كان ذاتي خانوي بيبكن الذي هاتكان دوروبر كركوك أوين سر بكركوك بس بو هموشينا.
As well as paying people to come back, the Kurdish government is also using other methods. This man says Kurdish authorities forced him to return.
معاش مخون بيش مجاب معاش كم ينبري تيجي ما عارف فصل يعني كل يوتي هذا نقريه مالش مال سليماني بو
Meanwhile, Kirkuk's Arab citizens fear losing control of the city and accuse the Kurds of playing dirty.
وهذا الشيء مقلق في كركوك انه يعني حكومة الإقليم تتدخل في دفع المبالغ او هذا موجود، وحتى تنفيذ مشاريع في مناطق متجاوز عليها للكسب الحزبي وتسهيل التجاوزات من قبل يعني الجايين من السليمانية وأربيل، وأعطاهم مبالغ للبناء. هذا كلها أمور تعملها حكومة إقليم كردستان.
The Americans?
The Iraqi government is supposed to hold a referendum over the future of Kirkuk, so citizens can vote to either remain under Baghdad's control or to become part of the Kurdish autonomous region. But the vote, due to be held by December 2007, has now been postponed indefinitely, and the Arabs say they will boycott the referendum anyway.
نحن يعني في هذا نحن نرفض الاستفتاء. نحن الاستفتاء نرفضه لأنه نرى بأن مقومات الاستفتاء مقومات خاطئة وأساليب خاطئة وسوف لن يكون بصالح أحد.
The Kurds are outraged over the referendum's delay, and President Massoud Barzani has this veiled threat.
هو جوری كتير من الله إما همو هو وهدمنا ما هو ليه دين جيبه بيجي مش كأجر جيبه جي نبي إما ترسيمه ناشتين زور خراب روده. نتوانم استقبلهم كذا بي بلام بالتأكيد ونوميني وكهيا.
Threats of violence are coming from both sides. Kirkuk's Arabs say if the referendum is held and the Kurds win, as they are tipped to do, there will be bloodshed.
ولا كركوك بدون إدارة مشتركة بوضع خاص إذا ألحقت بأي صفة قومية أو طائفية فسوف تكون كركوك مشكلة ومشكلة حرب أهلية داخلها. أنا أعتقد هذا الشيء.
As I leave Kirkuk, I can't help feeling that there's no simple solution in sight for uniting this divided city. Back in the autonomous zone, I'm about to get a very different picture of the Kurdish success story, touted as a thriving and prosperous democracy. This is the office of Kurdistan's only independent newspaper, Hawlati, a constant thorn in the side of the regional government. Tariq Fatia is the editor. He's reviewing pictures of an anti-government demonstration he says was brutally broken up by the police.
لما نقرتنكاني كلارو هلا بجارة فعلي حكومة زورتون بو تخكرا طبعا لا هلا بجش ولا كلاريش ولا خلق وشران بزم لا هلا بجولا كلاريش يجي يكسبوني.
Tariq Fatia says the Kurdish leadership is both oppressive and corrupt.
بله أما قولت لين شيء كردا شيء هرشي إنك درزيكي جندلي بي ديدات بهرشي إنك بريب كه. خلق بخوي كحزب هندي جندلي وكيشو مشكلة ده كالنا أو دام دزجاني كإشي تاعكن موظفي حكوميين بخوان وساكن يا إسيساق ده كان يهدي الزندة ين بوئما أما جوشي لسرك.
Tariq's reporters were given these secret documents. He says they showed the Ministry of Tourism extorting money from a local businessman.
كشكا أوي كأم كاميرا خوي دي بروجكت بخوي بكا استا هاتوا اسكالا دكا لوي كا ليرا الوزارة يجشوا جزار بيان وتوا بوير كاتر رجعتين كي شكبكي كأما بشك ما انتهي بيونيا.
نعم تويتي بروجكت بخون بفروش إنه. حزنا قاعد بفروش. بلام ناتشار بوي بيشجيري بكم بروجكت دوسكا بفروش توان.
Kurdistan has the trappings of an open society, including a smooth functioning parliament. But democracy here is tightly controlled by two parties and two families. Kurdish Regional President Massoud Barzani is from the KDP party, while Jalal Talabani, from the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan, is the other Kurdish leader and also the Iraqi president. Their pictures are everywhere, and their close relatives control Kurdistan's state media as well as their security and intelligence agencies.
سیستمێکی شمولی بەڕێوە دەبێن ینی هەموو ڕاگەیاندنەکانی حیزبە هەموو مؤسساتی دەوڵەتی حیزبە هەموو زۆربەی هەرە زۆرە ڕێکخراوەکانی کۆمەڵگای مەدەنی حیزبن و خەڵکێکی زۆر گەندەڵ کراوە یعنی تێوەگرێنراوە لە مەسائلی گەندەڵی.
How can America work with such a government when you have a situation where the Prime Minister and the President just give all the best positions and most important positions to their families?
Do you want an answer on that?
Jon Cebra simply doesn't have an answer to that question. But corruption and nepotism in Kurdistan is a big concern for Hawlati editor Tariq Fatia. The newspaper recently published an article that contains controversial allegations by leading American neoconservative Michael Rubin. The paper is now being sued. Tariq reads me part of the story.
سەرکردەکانی کورد جێی متمانی ئەمریکانین. بارزانی خاوەنی $2 ملیارد و تاڵەبانیش 400 ملیۆن.
With claims of corruption swirling, Massoud Barzani denies any impropriety and tries to hose down the accusations against his government. What is your response to allegations that the Kurdish leadership is corrupt and that there's a lot of nepotism?
والله من نظم وضعية مثالية كمكورينيا زور كمكوريمونايا بالتأكيد بلام أو نسويتي حقيقة هنديك راسته بلام زوري شيء مبالغة تدا وإما خوش ما نزانين إما كمكوريمونايا خليكين معالجة يبكين.
The authorities constantly harass the newspaper. Both Tariq and his star reporter, Nabaz Goran, have been beaten by thugs who warned them not to criticise the government. This is the result of a beating handed out to Nabaz. 5 years after the American overthrow of Saddam Hussein, reporters here are still imprisoned under the former Ba'ath regime's oppressive media laws.
Is that good enough?
Well, it's a work in progress. They do have democratic mechanisms, they do have democratic institutions, and they have mechanisms for addressing these issues.
But Tariq Fatia doesn't believe that Kurdish leaders have embraced their new democracy.
کاتێکدا لەگەڵ لە شەڕ بوون لەگەڵ باسا بەڵام ئەوەی فێری بوون بۆ بڕێوەبردننی دەوڵەت وانە خەڵکی وڵاتە فێر بووە لەسەری ئەو سیستەمە بڕێوەبردنەیە کە بەعس کردوێتی ینی هەمان سیستەمی بەڕێوەبردننی بیداری باسا بە کەمێک کراوەتر لە ڕووی ئازادی.
He's worried the Kurdish leadership is squandering the chance of winning Kirkuk and the great Kurdish dream of independence.
بەرەو پوکانەوە بەرەو شکست وردە بەرەو لە باربردنی ئەم فرسەتە مێژوویە جارێکی تر بۆ میلەتی کورد کە ئێستا لە 91 هەڵکەوتووە تا ئێستا. چ لەسەر مستەوای نێودەوڵەتیش ئەم ئەدائی ئوسلوبەی بەڕێوەبردننی ئەم حکوومەتە زەرەری گەورەمان لێدا.
Life in Iraqi Kurdistan seems relatively peaceful, but while I'm here, the situation takes a dramatic turn for the worse.
Hello again, the top story on Al Jazeera. The Turkish army has launched a major ground offensive into northern Iraq, targeting Kurdish fighters. The operation could last 15 days, and the United Nations has urged Turkey to respect the Iraqi border.
The next morning, I join Tariq as he heads into the mountains with one of his reporters to cover Turkey's unprecedented invasion.
تورکیا قەسفی کردووە بە تیارە و بە تۆپ.
Another well-armed Kurdish group, the PKK, used these mountains as a base for attacking Turkey. And now the Turks want to wipe them out once and for all. Washington classifies the PKK as a terrorist group and is annoyed that the Kurdish regional government seems to have turned a blind eye to the rebels' activities.
ئەو شاخە
سنووری تورکیایە ئەو دی و ئەیتر دەبێت بە تورکیا 20 دقە بە سیارە لێرە.
For Tariq and his reporter Janor, this new attack highlights the Kurds' lack of any real independence and stirs their nationalistic sentiments.
یەک دنیاجار کارەساتی گەورە ڕوویداوە وەک هەڵەبجە وەک ئەنفار و لە پارچەکانی کەی کوردستان کە کارەساتی زۆر قورس هەبوون هەموو دنیا لێی بێدەنگ بووە. لەبەرەوەم جاری ئەوەل و ئەخیری نییە کە کورد هەمیشە تەنها بێ و ملەتێکە کە تا ئێستا سیاسەتی نێودەوڵەتی لەسەری هیچ قسەیەک ناکە.
In response to the Turkish invasion, Kurdish Peshmerga troops have been massing near the border. They're nervous about journalists and won't let me film them. From their position, we can hear the Turkish planes in the sky. Up ahead, the Turks have bombed this bridge, the first time they've targeted infrastructure like this.
Quickly, quickly!
ئەم لە ژێرێرەوە ساڕوخێک هەیە پشتە نەتەقیتەوە لە ئەنجام یعنی لێدانی تارەکان تا ئێستا لە ناو خۆرەکە شەقیە و نەتەقیەوە ماوە.
ڕمەکەوە جلێ بڕۆن کاکە دەنگی تارەکە دێ.
It's not safe here and we have to move quickly.
لو دي لو دولار لويت قصفك.
Behind this mountain, there's.
جولة.
Just our women there.
لو سرود صارت سليتر كوتوا.
باشا بنالون يتنبه بواي.
With his land under attack, Regional President Massoud Barzani says he has no influence over the situation.
هنا يرمتي بيجي كمان دوا بالله ما نوشين شري بيجي يبكي. إيش يمنية ومشكلة يمنية.
After decades of repression, the Kurds have a strong sense of their history. In the tea houses, these men remember a close relationship with America. Now they're outraged that their once great ally has given Turkey the green light to invade.
معلومات أمريكا كلاجا يا با تركيا وبو لاني بكاكا وقادر بولا ملتك لا هيت استشكيت يعني هيت اشتكنا بقى خلق بيخوش.
The Kurds were once said to be America's best friends in the Middle East, but now wonder whether their independence was ever part of America's plans. Once again, they feel abandoned by the world.
بۆ کورجێردەستی عەرەبی بۆ کورجێردەستی فارس بێ بۆ کورجێردەستی تورک بێ ئێمە هەموو مقاوماتێکی دروستبوونی حکوومەتمان هەیە هەموو مقاوماتێک حەقی ئەومان هەیە سەربەخۆبین حەقی ئەومان هەیە ئازادی حەقی ئەومان هەیە زێردەستی هیچ نەتەوەیەکی کە نەبێت